A special tribunal for Russian President Vladimir Putin may well be established by the end of the year, said the EU Justice Commissioner Didier Reynders. According to him, two options are being considered: an international tribunal based on a multilateral agreement or a simplified solution based on a bilateral agreement between Ukraine and the Council of Europe. At least 4 people were killed and 20 others injured, including children, in Russian airstrikes on Ukraine, as civilian infrastructure continues to be a target. The several missiles hit the residential areas of the city of Zaporizhia. It is reported that Russian forces underwent double strikes to target rescues and law enforcement officers. Amid expectations of a new Russian mass offensive, Ukraine is building new fortified lines along the border with Russia.
Ukraine's Prime Minister Volodymyr Zelensky and France's President Emmanuel Macron are the two most liked European leaders, according to an exclusive poll by Ipsos for Euronews. And the two who are most disliked? They are Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban and, by a large margin, Russia's President Vladimir Putin. He's most disliked by a massive 79% of those polled. But there are exceptions when broken down at state level. 37% of Bulgarians have a positive opinion of Putin.
Many countries in Central Eastern Europe have been object of very intense, very long attempts by the Russian state to create, to promote propaganda. And Bulgaria is a clear example of it, even though the Bulgarian state and the Bulgarian government has been extremely able to push back beyond any expectation, I would say.
Among EU leaders, Macron is the one with the biggest fan club. 41% of Europeans have a positive opinion of him. That number climbs to 57% in Romania, but crucially drops to just 28% in his own country. And France is also the place where most people have a negative opinion of Macron, at 62%. Nicoli believes one of the reasons is because Macron is a very recognisable leader.
Yeah, I think he has shown leadership at European level. And it has shown leadership, and he has been able to give a very clear, image of where he would like Europe to go.
Surprisingly, some major EU leaders are not well known. Most of those polled said they don't know enough of Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk, or Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, or Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez to have formed an opinion about any of them. Norway's announced it'll double its military spending over the next 12 years, an increase of around 56 billion euros. It'll get a minimum of 5 new frigates and at least 5 new submarines, the government said. The Baltic states, Finland, Poland and Norway all share borders with Russia, and they've been boosting their defences since Ukraine was invaded.
Vi står overfor en varig, forverret sikkerhetspolitisk situasjon i vår del av verden. Vi har også store behov og vesentlige mangler i forsvaret her hjemme. Vi trenger et forsvar som tilpasset vår tid og våre utfordringer.
Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, hundreds of thousands of young people have received a sobering message from the Defence Ministry. They've been told their normally voluntary military service could become compulsory if war breaks out.
Ik vind het juist heel belangrijk dat ze dat ook doen. Dat ze ook bewust maken van jongeren dat ze ook mogelijk het leger in moeten.
Het zat er wel een keer aan te komen met al die oorlogen en zo.
Earlier this week, NATO foreign ministers met to mark the bloc's 75th anniversary. Top on the agenda was setting up a €100 billion fund to support Ukraine's military. NATO members are supposed to spend 2% of their budget on defence, but 18 of them still don't. Europol's released a report on the criminal networks that most threaten the EU. Half of them are either partly or solely involved in drug trafficking, it found, and many rely heavily on corruption. 112 different nationalities are involved in what is often cross-border crime, and an incredible 86% of them have infiltrated the legal economy to hide their activities and launder their profits.
These 821 most dangerous criminal networks and their 25,000 members commit crimes for profit and are capable of operating in multiple countries simultaneously. They are active in a range of crime areas, from drug trafficking to fraud, property crime, migrant smuggling or trafficking in human beings. Half of them are involved in drug trafficking.
This drugs bust in Spain is one of many police successes across Europe. But elsewhere, such as in Antwerp in Belgium, the drugs trade is flourishing. The port city has been the main gateway for Latin American cocaine into the EU for years, and gang violence remains rife. It's seen Belgians increasingly use drugs, and the authorities say the trafficking is now rapidly penetrating society.